I've been thinking a lot about this lately, about how easy it is to get lost trying to become yourself, trying to get it right, trying to heal fast, trying to live your purpose like it is a checklist. And somewhere in all of that trying, we forget the quiet truth underneath it all. This video today is for you if you've been intrigued by human design and maybe find it overwhelming, or if you've tried to fix your blocks but still feel like you're missing a deeper thread, or you're craving a way to feel more permission, more alignment, more you. This isn't about memorizing types or learning another system to master yourself. This is about returning to who you already are underneath that noise. I'm Andrea Tessier, Master Life Coach and IFS practitioner, and I help conscious leaders step into what I call liberated leadership by strengthening your connection to yourself, the calm, clear, wise core within. So if you're ready to feel more like you and less like a patchwork of strategies and survival patterns, you're in the right place. So be sure to subscribe for more IFS insights every week. And today's episode is a special one. I'm sitting down with one of my favorite collaborators and dearest humans, Zach Carlson. He's a gifted human design reader, coach, and someone whose presence feels both like a mirror and a homecoming. Together, we're building something special called the bridge between, where we're blending internal family systems and human design. And this conversation taps into some of the inspiration of where that bridge really began. In this episode, Zach and I are exploring the moment human design helped him stop pathologizing his chaos, what it means to enjoy the drift and why that changed everything for him, the difference between chasing purpose and living it, and how human design offers the map while IFS becomes the path. We talk about chaos, confusion, identity, pressure, presence, and how both systems offer a way back to your truest self. This is not a tutorial. It is not a how-to. It is a transmission, a remembering, a reorientation. So take a deep breath, let it wash over you. And if you feel the pull to go deeper, we'd love to welcome you inside the bridge between our workshop, blending these two potent modalities in a way that's never been done before. The link's in the description. Let's begin. So we're here with Zach today, and this is going to be one of many interviews that I get to do on the channel. And I'm super excited about it because I normally get to see Zach in the role of interviewer. And today I get to put him in the hot seat. And all my cards are excited. So he thinks that we're doing high level overview human design, and it will kind of be that. And in Andrea fashion, we're going deeper than that. I know that most people start interviews with like, tell a bio about you, but fuck that. Before we really go into human design itself, I want a more personal question. What's one moment in your life when your human design truly saved you from burnout, heartbreak, confusion, complete life derailment, or something else?
A million things came to mind, and I say that because it's true, not because I'm trying to convince anyone of how great and wonderful human design is. But for me, personally, concrete examples of how useful it has been in my life, they stack up all around me week by week. But a big one came early on in my discovery of how practical this tool can be. I was working with a coach and he was looking at my chart and he's looking at the specific place in my head center and he said, wow, like you must really know how to enjoy the drift. And I was like, what does that mean? I'm not a car guy. He was. And he had described that there's an aspect in my chart where it's going to be kind of chaotic and messy, and that could be stressful, but it could also be fun. And so think of yourself in a car drifting around a corner, you're both in control and out of control, right? The wheels are moving sideways, right? You've got the steering wheel, and it's like a to me, it's a metaphor. It's a collaboration of what we're all doing with the universe. We're both in control and out of control. And when he told me that, something relaxed in my body where I was like, I can enjoy this. I was probably early 30s. I had never even considered that I could feel a different way about what was legitimately a pattern in my life of just kind of feeling like I was in free fall sometimes. And so really like having a context for that. It's information, but information that I could apply to my life immediately. And so when I would start to feel anxious, human design gave me kind of a strategy where I can be like, what else are you feeling besides anxiety? And what I started to be able to do is touch excitement behind the anxiety. Like I had trained my system to really notice the anxiety, and I needed to do that. As we all know, we have our strategies for survival. They come from a real need at one point. It creates parts, as we know. But I no longer needed to code or encode any obstacle as stress, but instead it's like, what if this was like what I signed up for? To be challenged, to be strengthened, right? In meaningful ways. And so it was just that one observation, like, bro, can you enjoy the drift? Because like you're not completely out of control and you like that. And I was like, I don't know how you knew that, but yes, I'm gonna work on that. And since then, years later, I mean, that metaphor is relevant to me today.
Like, what a subtle but, like, pervasive and powerful shift to, like, I can enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think that's been my experience, like, with learning bits of my design too. It's like, "Oh, wait, that's not a problem?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So what part of your chart exactly explained that moment? And so maybe you can kind of layer in that a bit.
So in human design, for people who are brand new to the system, it's a system of self-discovery that requires our continued input. And so it's not one of those self-assessment tools where we take it and it like tells us who we are. Like, who really wants that? But instead, human design, it says, here's the map. Your life is going to take you into all kinds of rabbit trails, but you can always return to the map. And the map is your human design.
Mm.
And it doesn't mean that everything gets easy and clicks into place, but it does mean that we kind of have a map or a GPS for points of least resistance in our life and points of greatest meaning, impact, satisfaction, success. And so all of that is kind of baked into this system. And we can look at it on what's called a body graph, which is basically a pictogram of our metaphysical energy, how it circulates in our bodies, and how it touches the different aspects of our life around love, direction, motivation, inspiration, stress. My chart in the head center, to answer your question now directly, is wide open with the exception of one channel, and that is the channel of confusion, or excuse me, the gate of confusion. And so I have this wide open head center, which again, if you're new to this, it just means that I'm very porous. I have an open mind. A lot of ideas are pouring through all the time. I'm here doing this interview. I'm having a side conversation with myself this whole time and uh, like excited about this idea that I have for my garden, right? Like very much like open head center. Like when we're done with this interview, I'm digging a hole in a specific spot. I'm excited about that and fully present. And so those characteristics are often there with the open head. This little open gate of confusion, I think of it like Bane. If you're a Batman fan, you've got this guy, Bane, he's a villain. You kind of understand his backstory. And he says, I was born in the darkness. And he says, you visit the darkness, but I was born here. Like, this is my environment. What I can say about my chart is I was born in the confusion, y'all. Like the confusion is my environment. I'm at home here. And again, that sucked for the longest time, like a lot. I didn't know. I was always trying to change that part of me. Again, same coach I mentioned before, he's like, "Enjoy the drift. Enjoy the dri" that, like, I have this adrenaline junkie in me that I try to keep on a leash, and we all know, like, if you keep something repressed, it comes out in these chaotic ways, and so that's what I was used to. Now, it's like I'm drifting around corners with awareness of what's happening, but awareness of how I'm affecting the people around me, right, too? Because if we're drifting around a corner in an actual car, you don't wanna hit the people watching. Right? Just because, like, I'm chill, I'm in control, I'm out of control, like, no. It's like we exist, in the presence of others. I think we exist in some ways to interact with each other. And human design, it can help us streamline those interactions with other people. It can help us take things less personally. That's another big thing is, like, I take much less personally these days than I did before because I have a context for it. I love information, right? I think it's important not to worship information, but human design gave me legitimate info, just words, ideas that when I started applying them and experiencing them, experimenting with them in my life, it produced a tangible outcome. To me, that's magic. Like any book does the same thing. It's not just human design. It's like, that's freaking magic.
I mean, just hearing you say that, and because my lens is always like seeing things through the lens of parts, right? And I'm hearing that confusion being like part in your system, like that one that just like lives in the chaos. And it's so interesting because it is truly like how we start to relate to our parts, how we relate to ourselves changes everything. You found this way to relate to yourself differently. I found this way, and this is how they're just so beautifully like come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Like after working with you on bridging these two systems, it feels true for me to say if I had found IFS earlier, I think I would have gotten to the exact same place. You
Yeah.
know, the scenery I think would have been different. I mean, maybe exact same place is too much, but I really think that these two tools that we love, like they are different ways of achieving the same end.
Yeah. I mean, what's popping into my head, like, what's the end? Where have you arrived? Not that there's an arrival, but
I mean, self energy. Everything that I have known and studied about IFS is that it is the return journey to self, and no one outside of us can say who that is. We get to have an input on that. We get to kind of clear out our filters so that we can see ourselves in our lives more self. Like human design, what does it do? It gives us a map home. For some people, it's a short journey. They're not that far off from feeling the richness of their unique design. Other people, let's commit to working on this for a lifetime. Let's commit to finding self. Let's manage those expectations so that it's not this sexy Instagram grab where in 12 weeks I can be my most embodied self. I can be the divine masculine in 5 steps. Like, yeah,
right on time, you were queuing me up for my next question. So, fuck you. What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about human design right now, especially like in Instagram and this like go harder, go home, like personal development world?
so the most viewed and most like voted on Reddit post about human design is the theme is why is human design a cult? So that breaks my heart because I don't mind that other people out there think that. I've never had a single experience that would trigger like my cult alarm in my head. What breaks my heart is that it's the most popular post that there is. And I investigated it to find out, okay, like, are we defending this? Like, no, it was just a bunch of people trashing it, talking about their negative experiences with it. And so I think the most misunderstood thing is that this is a program where someone else is telling us who we are.
Yeah.
When someone hands me a map of the Rocky Mountains, I'm not looking at the map thinking, I'm looking at the Rocky Mountains. You know what? And we're not talking about the same things, but I think in a way, I've done this with things, but we all have done it before. I call it contempt prior to investigation. We feel contempt for something that we know nothing about. And so I think that's the mechanism that creates the biggest misunderstanding about human design, which is that it's this pigeonholing silver bullet. I mean, it goes in both directions, but like I can't imagine what my life would feel like and be like if I practiced contempt before investigation here and was like, that sounds like a bunch of woo-woo bullshit.
Mm.
Right. And so just like stepping into it was, I think, one of the smarter moves I've made in my life.
Mm. I love that. Mm. Yeah. Mm. So you're a manifesting generator. I experience you as incredibly reflective, intentional in a way that might surprise most people. I've called it like your healthy masculine. So it's really funny that you've named that. But what parts of your design do you feel like you're still stepping into? Where do you still feel like resistance to meet your design fully?
My, you and I just looked at this. My chart has a wide open heart center. And we could look at that as, I have an open head center, so like open mind. I have an open heart center, open heart. Not really in that case, right? Open head, open mind, yes, but open heart, to me, the heart center is more about self-worth
Yeah.
and um, worthiness, like more globally, knowing what an hour of my time is worth, as a consultant, as a coach. That is still a space where I'm like not fully there. I use the uh, financial piece as an example, but also relationships,
Mm.
right? Like the center, the little thinking information center, the processor, the brain. We have these little brains inside of us, the chakras, the energy centers. This one that I have wonders, do I deserve to be in this type of relationship? Do I deserve to have these type of people in my life? Like, do I feel worthy of them? It's not like this ongoing chatter like it used to be, but still, it's like almost turns into appreciation or really deep gratitude at certain levels as well. But it's like when I get into these situations where I'm with the kinds of people that I dreamed about being with, people who are heart-centered, here to really leave the world better than we found it. There's still this part of me that's like giddy that like I get to be around these people and also is like, don't fuck this up. Like, don't say anything stupid. As though it were that fragile and that easy. Like, to me, that's that open space where it used to feel like punishment before. Like I would punish myself for, saying the wrong thing or something. And now it's just like this sort of invitation. Got to work on this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I hear that as a part, right? Like my don't fuck it up part, right? That's just my don't fuck it up part.
Don't.
Whatever you do. And like the more we work with our parts, the more that we work with our design over time is where like integration starts to happen. And it's actually ends up being, I realized this recently that like my parts heal me versus the other way around.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And my mind is like, okay, so my parts heal me, not the other way around. So how can I care for my parts so that they can do their job well?
Exactly.
Wow.
And I hear it in your design language too, like, how can I care for my design?
Yeah. Yeah.
See? And, all of this is pointing to like, and we're living the experience of it. And that's why I wanted this to be like more personal and tangible for people. Like, design isn't always easy to live, right? It's not always easy to live in self energy all the time. But like, where do you see the biggest overlap between human design and internal family systems? Especially around how people like respond or relate or react to their chart.
Yeah. I think the easiest, best way to say it is when it comes to overlap between these systems, human design is the map
Yeah.
and IFS is the path. And so we carry the map. This doesn't change. Right? Our chart is set on the moment we're born. And so we carry the map, but the path has pebbles on it. It has insects. It has trees that fall in the way. It's the constantly changing. And so IFS is the path. It's the dynamic piece in us that we can interact with and engage with, almost like a conversation. Human design is the map. We can do that same thing, but it's more like interacting with a GPS or an AI, where it's going to give us just like information that is like tailored to who we are. The path doesn't give a shit who we are, like at all. It's aware and unaware of us. I believe that when we're in nature, nature is deeply aware of our presence. It's not thinking about us with thoughts and words, but it's deeply aware. And so then it's like, what is awareness then? Will you remind me of the question?
I just got so lost in what you were saying. Um, it's not always easy to live. And so just like where are you seeing the relationship and how people react and respond to their charts?
Yeah. So human design is the map, IFS is the path, and people interacting with the chart. I think the main thing that I see in terms of things to watch out for is impatience. For example, knowing about the nervous system does not heal the nervous system. Right? Knowing about our human design, it does nothing. Applying it, right? Also, it's almost like a cruel mechanism in the system too, is that we can find such crystal clear clarity about things and everything makes sense, right? Like in an intellectual way. And we're like, oh, it's within reach. If only I could touch that thing that I know is there. It's in me. I remember even as a child feeling this way. It's there. It's like, oh, I'm bored with this. I'm impatient. Like we go off the rails because it's not happening fast enough. Not just human design, IFS, Enneagram, Strengths Finder, somatic code. I mean, you name it, right? That's like, I think in the stock market, we talk about how people get shook out. I think people get shook out of our industries because we want it to happen faster than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. The sense of like urgency. My coach calls it hurry up and heal.
Yeah, please.
And, like, the catch there is, like, those manager cards that, like, get you in the door are wonderful, right? That's how I relate to them. They're like, "Yes, great. I need the therapy. I need the coaching. I need the human design." They get you in the door, amazing. And then there's the ones that are in charge of our growth journey, and they're like, "Let's go already."
Yes.
Mhm.
And no bad parts.
Yeah.
The saying and on your side of things, no bad parts. Like that urgency, it has an archetypal shadow and an archetypal light. I'm a recovering addict, and someone taught me a few years ago that even the archetypal addict has a light side and a shadow side, to the point that my design, like when I'm embodied, is very much like the archetypal light side of the addict, which is creative, multidimensional, very high risk tolerance, like a little bit of YOLO, like passion, compassion, service, like all the recovering addicts that I know are like gung ho about service, like serving the world.
Mhm.
I'm kind of showing my design too, like rabbit trails. Like I love that. This is a little bit of that chaos that I was talking about in my chart. And once again, completely lost the thread of your question.
Matters. Honestly, I'm really trusting that this is perfect. I love it so much. Yeah, design and action, everybody.
She said it best.
I love it, and I appreciate this about you because it always, like, inspires just so many more ideas in me. So, I'm thinking about the workshop that we're putting together that's blending IFS and human design because, like, obviously we're onto something here. And your intuitive vision was to like link it to a path, purpose. Oh my gosh, where did it go? Part
Parts, patterns, purpose.
purpose. Thank you. That's a mouthful. And we hear a lot about purpose in human design in the personal development world, but it's kind of warped. So, what do you think is the difference between living your purpose and chasing it?
Yeah, I mean, I speak from the trenches on this for sure. Um, I have experienced what I think most people experience of just like you call it hurry up and heal, and it's like hurry up and find your purpose. And I was under this illusion, it was like a hypnosis that purpose was something that could be discovered in a lab, right? About ourselves. If I journaled enough and meditated enough and ate right and, did the CrossFit, that I would be able to figure out my purpose. And I think that that's kind of like entry level. That's foundational. Like I need to take care of my physical vessel, what we call the vehicle in human design. But then after that, it is like absurdly clear to me that purpose is something that we live into. And it's not an animal that we chase because if it was, we would kill the animal and kill the purpose, right? Chasing purpose kills the purpose, I think. It doesn't leave any room for the magic that is, in my mind, legitimately all around us of possibility and potential and all the things that I cannot think of, right? There is a force around me that thinks of crazy cool stuff all the time. Have you ever seen a flower? I didn't invent that, right? But the thing that invented that is in me, even if we just call it the breath, even if we just call it the nutrients in the food, the same things that are growing that flower, like, um, when I'm obsessed with chasing my purpose, I'm leaving no space for that magic. Some call it the universe, some call it God, creator. And so purpose isn't a personal thing that I'm doing on my own and then turning around and showing other people. To me, it's a collaborative process, not just with eternity and the universe itself, but literally with every single person in my life. What I'm building in my business is being supported by every single person in my life one way or another. Even when I hate it, even when it's the person who's offering me this like annoying resistance or the person's whose approval I just can't seem to fricking get, right? Through the lens, the very coachy lens that we're talking about things, that person can be my teacher. And so if I think my purpose is discovered here in my office and then I go out and do it, when I run into that resistance, I'm like, that wasn't part of the plan. It's not working. Right. And so, again, I think the short version of all that is our purpose is something that we like catch a whiff of and then we start following it. And it's like, where are those cookies?
Yeah.
Are they over here? Are they over there? Um, but I also think we have to go through that season where we learn that on our own.
Yeah.
And maybe someone's listening and they're like, you got it wrong, bro. I did do that. And what I would say is I believe you because human design has shown me people do things in all kinds of different ways. My take on purpose is what I just shared.
I love that. And it just, I guess my like little follow up, and I think you were getting there was like, how does human design help us return to what's already true?
Yeah. Conditioning, programming, no matter where we are, even if we were just raised by one person in the mountains of Belize, right? We're still going to be conditioned by that person. We can think of this cuckoo clock factory in Germany where they're just constantly churning out these cuckoo clocks and they put them up on this big wall and they make sure that they work. And so you've got all these pendulums swinging. And, they're being put up there at different times in the day. So all the pendulums are like out of sync. But then what happens, I think it's either the law of pendulums or something. But after a while, they all start swinging together,
Yeah.
you know, and we can see that as really beautiful, like people coming together in harmony and voices joining together, singing, dancing, being in community, like all of that stuff that releases oxytocin. We can also see it as hive mind. All those pendulums, just like they're doing the same thing because the one next to them is doing it. And like after a while, that's conditioning, that's programming. So much of it comes from a loving place. Whatever your family of origin is, they offered you a program. This is how to be in the world. This is how to survive in the world. This is what to say in this situation. The design that we all have at birth might not be on board with that. For example, one of the programs in a lot of families in my region, the Midwest, is don't talk about it because maybe it'll go away. That's a program that I got. My system at a certain point, like I'm the tiger that ate through the frickin' bars. I've got no teeth left, but like I can't stay silent on this shit. Like that is where the tension of that programming and conditioning and the design itself face off. And that wasn't the first time for me. It was like all through my childhood, something didn't feel right about this one little way that my culture here in the Midwest does things. Why aren't we talking about this? Why aren't we acknowledging this? My design was like, The program was like, That's how we get away from self. How we come back to self is, I think it starts with awareness, naming that thing doesn't work for me. Step one, doing something about it, like getting out of a religious, oppressive cult, let's say, pointing at it and saying that doesn't work for me doesn't get you out of it. And so then the journey begins. How do I extract myself from this? How do I find more of myself? And human design, because it doesn't change, is constantly there giving kind of the same input over and over and over again.
That's so good. I love you get so fired up.
I love it too.
So if somebody is watching and they feel curious about human design, but get overwhelmed by all the lines and the arrows and the channels, what would you what's one piece of encouragement you might offer?
Some people will roll their eyes at me when I say this, and that's okay. Type, strategy, and authority.
Yeah.
There's three big moving parts in the chart for any beginner, someone new to this, to ease into the understandably overwhelming amount of information that's on any chart. For example, when we go and look at a beautiful sunset, our minds know how to focus on what's most important, right? We're not focusing on like that there's weeds growing out of the grass over here to the side in our peripherals. Like we're focused on the sunset. All the other details have to fade away so that we can appreciate it. In our design, focusing on type, strategy, and authority is keeping our eyes focused on the sunset, right? It's beautiful, it's impactful, it's right there, it's right in front of us. We can go down all the rabbit trails, but as we're looking at all the weeds and the fish moving around in on the lakeshore, we're missing the sunset, and we don't get it again. Life is not a dress rehearsal. We get to do this once.
Mm.
I think we do it over and over and over again, but like for the most part, I don't remember those and I won't remember this one. Like we get to do this once. And so one of the ways that human design can be really brutal is that it doesn't pull punches. But also one of the ways that it can be so compassionate is that it doesn't pull punches. It gives us the uh, things to take a hard look at sometimes.
Type, strategy, authority.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Keep it simple.
Love it. Anything else you want to name here before we wrap up?
Well, always, if you get to that place where you've gone as far as you can, talk to a coach about it. It doesn't have to be me. But honestly, if you're one of those people who goes on these jags, like you get super into things and then you forget about them forever, never think about them again. Before you do that, I want to offer meet with a coach, have someone just walk you through some of the technical pieces. Readings with me are not so much like that. I don't focus on the bells and whistles. I like to focus on a problem so that people can experience human design in their lives. So that would be the last thing. Again, I'll plug my readings. I think they're awesome. But also, I mean, just Google, you'll find that I'm a small fish in a big pond.
Amazing. Yes. And if anybody's listening and is curious about the bridge you were building between these two like profound model, um, and we just simply ask the right questions and we're guided to each other. And what we keep uncovering is pretty cool. So the bridge between these two models in this workshop, highly recommend checking it out.
No one's done it before. And what I'll add to that too is that in the process of creating this with you, Andrea, we've acknowledged that it has brought a lot of our self energy forward in ways that have been both enlightening and uncomfortable. Getting access to these aspects of ourself that then we get to use this tool, IFS, human design, to continue like navigating intentionally, stealthily this collaboration, that energy is in what we've created. Like whole hog, we are taking our own medicine. Like that is in there. And so I just wanted to be sure to say that too, in honor of you as the co-conspirator here. Um, but also because I think that our industry is really inundated with these sort of wah-wah programs that have no heart in them. The life force in them feels copied and pasted. And I just want to acknowledge you and me both in this. Like, we're showing up. And I'm so grateful for you.
You. Thank you for today. Thank you for you. So glad that we get to collaborate on this event and this mission together. So if anybody's watching and wants more Zach, I'll drop his info below, but I'll also link to the workshop. Okay. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks, everyone.
Hug.